The resignation of Mr. Visho Lika as head of the State Informative Service was officially accepted by the President on October 30. As the Democratic Party continued their boycotts of the parliamentary commissions today, the SMI returned to participate in the discussions. The European Union has awarded Albania €1.1 million of a total €8.4 billion fund to be used to improve civil services. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 1st of November 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. President of the Republic, Ilir Meta, has signed the decree formalising the resignation of the now former head of the State Informative Service, Mr. Visho Lika. The decision was signed on October 30th when the President met with Prime Minister Edi Rama in his office. However, this news was not made public until today. Mr. Lika filed for resignation following 5 years' tenure in the position. It is still unclear as to the motives that resulted in this surprise resignation. However, the opposition has made accusations declaring the move to be a result of significant political pressure following the institution's damning reports on the cannabis phenomenon. Prime Minister Edi Rama expressed his appreciation to Visho Lika for his commitment to the role as head of the State Informative Service over the past 5 years. During the 30-minute meeting between the President and the Prime Minister, Mr. Rama proposed the name of the current deputy head, Helidon Bendo, as the candidate to take over the top job. Bendo has held the post as deputy head of the State Informative Service since last year and has a long history working for Albanian intelligence organisations. The Democratic Party continued their boycott of parliamentary commissions today, but contrary to the day before, did not see all members standing united. In the meeting of the Commission of Laws, Democratic Member of Parliament Gent Razimiri accused the majority of being a defendant of crime. After the statement, the DP boycotted the commission. After the DP left the meeting, MP Anastas Angeli criticised the behaviour. It seems the Democratic Party has decided not to allow for discussions on other topics without concluding the investigations on the Tahiri case. On the other hand, the members of Parliament from the SMI did not join the DP, instead continuing to be part of the discussion. At the meeting, SMI MP Nasip Nacho expressed his remarks on the agreement with the Bank of Germany for the funding of the power transmission connection of 400 kilowatts between Albania and Macedonia. From what the political parties themselves have reported to the Central Election Commission, the electoral campaign of June 25 cost 250 million lek. The Socialist Party has the highest expenses at almost 100 million lek. Following the Socialist Party is the Socialist Movement for Integration, which has spent 88 million lek, and the Democratic Party with 58 million lek. It is to be noted that the political parties get their main revenue not only from the state budget, but also from individuals. In the detailed data gathered, it is noted that, in the case of the Socialist Party, the majority of expenses related to media advertising, meetings and promotional materials. The report concludes that the SP has a revenue of 98.8 million lek, from which 56 million were derived from the party itself, 28 million from public funds and 9 million from donations and individuals. The Socialist Movement for Integration ranks second on the list with 88 million lek in campaign expenses. According to the data, the political party collected a total of 75 million lek to be used for the electoral campaign of 2017. 23 million lek in revenue was gathered from public funds, around 37 million lek coming from individuals and businesses, and a further 13 million lek created by the party itself. Third on the list is the Democratic Party, who spent only 58 million lek on their campaign of their budget of 88 million lek. Similar to the SMI and the SP, the Democratic Party's expenses have also been used on media advertising, rent for electoral offices, expenses for meetings and promotional articles. Meanwhile, from their declarations at the Central Election Commission, the small political party's spending was so minimal that it was more of a symbolic nature. The Libre Party has spent only 730,000 lek, while the Republican Party has spent 2.5 million lek. The rights of the LGBT community are again in focus for political leaders in Albania. LGBT rights activist and Dutch lawyer Boris Dietrich has confirmed that he will be visiting Tirana. The aim of the visit is to raise the standard of respect and rights for members of the LGBT community across the country. Among the intended participants of meetings with Dietrich are the Minister of Health and Tirana's Mayor, Erion Veliai. The Dutch lawyer and activist has declared that Albania has a serious need to address LGBT issues, citing negative social attitudes and low levels of employment amongst members of the LGBT community. Mr. Dietrich sees a greater acceptance of the LGBT community by Albanian culture as an important step to becoming part of the European family. The City Hall of Tirana has proposed that the budget for the year of 2018 should predict the tax on property to also apply to unfinished buildings which are still under construction. According to the Mayor of Tirana, this would be a solution to the anomaly created in the city due to the construction of buildings being dragged out. Speaking at the meeting of the Consultative Council of Central and Local Governance, Tirana's Mayor, Erion Veliai, declared construction which does not finish within the deadline predicted in the licence for the construction will be charged and pay the tax on property in the same way as any other building. According to Veliai, the government has approved the proposition by Tirana City Hall to include in the state budget of 2018 the obligation of all constructions that remain unfinished past the licensing deadline to pay the appropriate property tax. Mayor Veliai also proposed a progressive tax on property to be applied to businesses, but excluding the citizens. For the first time, the city halls will take 2% of income tax, which would positively impact employment in the 61 city halls of the country, expressed Veliai. "12 city halls will benefit from a grant of €1.1 million given by the European Union to support civil society. EU Ambassador Romana Vlahutin said that civil society and the city halls must act with transparency because the citizens expect the problems to be solved. Out of 33 institutions of local power in the country which applied for grants, 12 city halls gained the right to benefit from EU funding to support civil society. The regional programme for the local democracy in the Western Balkan includes a grant of €1.1 million for Albania. The money will be given to the civil society organisations which operate as part of the city halls. The EU ambassador said that the reason the EU supports the regional countries through a fund of €8.5 million is to realise the objective of supporting civil societies. You are the institutions closest to the citizens. The programme aims to strengthen capacity. The European Union is handing out a grant of €8.5 million. Lack of transparency is an obstacle to progress in this country. Such programs will be an important step towards the strengthening of civil society. European integration does not happen exclusively in the centre, it happens in every city hall, so we must offer better services in order for the citizens to really feel the changes, declared the EU ambassador. Emphasis was given to the importance of transparency by the local powers and the activity of the civil organisations. Financiers from both the EU and the United Nations Development Programme believe that all the investments must be used to build structures for civil society so it can serve as an ally to citizens with concerns, providing solutions for them. The Minister of Tourism and Environment, Blendi Closey, considers the current state of the environment to be intolerable. A deadline of 20 days has been given to regional inspectors to identify the problematic polluted areas, while those inspectors who do not fulfil the professional criteria will be dismissed. The Environmental Inspectorate will submit to a reform. The news was announced today by the Minister of Tourism and Environment, who said that they will be appointing Clarence Ndreta as the head of the institution. All inspectors have been ordered to identify every environmental problem within 20 days. The identification will be done according to the territorial division, including the Agency of Protected Areas and the National Environment Agency. By November 20, we want to have at our disposal a map of the contamination dispersal in order to analyse the situation and to plan out the necessary actions to eliminate pollution, declared Minister Closey. The Minister also added that it is those companies which have violated the environmental contracts that are responsible for the poor environmental situation. However, according to him, the state institutions themselves also haven't been performing to the required standard. The newly appointed head of the Environmental Inspectorate expressed that in the next 20 days, the inspectors will be on trial and those who do not fulfil the professional criteria will not be a part of the institution anymore. The operation to clean Albania will be one of the priorities of the Ministry of Tourism and Environment in the first 300 days of governance. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.